Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's EllieMD Educational Series. We are glad you've joined us as we continue our mission to support healthier, longer lives through education, innovation, and community. Tonight, we're excited to introduce Jennifer Woodward, a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and hormone health educator with a master's in integrative nutrition. A former pharmaceutical rep turned functional health practitioner, Jennifer has helped more than 1,200 women navigate perimenopause with science-backed strategies and zero shame. She is also the author of Easy Perimenopause, The Essential Guide to Modern Midlife, and is currently working on her second book. Jennifer, thank you so much and welcome to our community. It's so lovely to have you here tonight. Welcome. Okay, so you
Thank you.
were a pharmaceutical rep. How did you get into functional health, and especially women? What got you into this? Tell us a little about your background.
Sure. So yeah, I worked for Abbott Laboratories for quite some time. I sold a heart drug, a cholesterol drug. I sold an antibiotic, and I learned a lot about the body at that time. And frankly, it was right out of college. It was a really wonderful job to get. I enjoyed every second of it. And they gave me 3 months of training. I had to sit in Chicago in the world's hottest summer, 3 months of training on body. And I thought this is really fascinating. And then working with physicians and working with other people in my field really opened my eyes to how incredible, these really just the body can be. It gets sick, it gets well. We can use substances to make it better or worse. And then, long story short, I had 4 children, ended up staying home with my kids. And then, after the birth of my third child, went through my own kind of hormonal chaos episode. I couldn't sleep. I was having panic attacks. My hair was falling out. My mood was all over the place. Really, I had postpartum and just didn't realize it because I went from doctor to doctor and they told me, okay, here's the pill, here's some Prozac. And I thought, I don't think I'm depressed. And, I don't mind if I get pregnant again. There's something wrong with me. And so I ended up going back to school to become a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner after learning about FDN and realizing, okay, functional lab work can give me insight into some of the things that are going on with my hormones, my gut, my energy, my mood, my skin. And it really was very eye-opening. And so it's not quite 180 degrees from traditional medicine, but functional medicine feels like it's far more educational and gives us a lot more empowerment, as I guess receivers.
Oh, well, thank you for doing that. And your story sounds so familiar. I went through the exact same thing after the birth of my first child. It was just they put you on one medication after another, and no one bothers to say, let's check your hormones. Let's see I mean, that would be like the most logical approach, right? It's like
Right?
hormones are all over the place. Let's balance it. And I think there's just so much misinformation around women's hormones. For a long time, they thought that it would do so much harm, but now we're realizing no, the benefits are tremendous. And I just love people like you who are shedding light on this topic and helping the rest of us in the female community. So thank you for your work. Um, Thank you for everything you've done these couple years and for so many women that you've helped. To start, let's talk about food. We often hear food is medicine, but what does that actually look like at a cellular level?
Oh, I love this question. Okay, because you hear about, eat whole foods. Do I eat a plant-based diet? Do I eat a carnivore diet? Do I eat one meal a day? Like, there's all this diet doctrine out there, and people are really, really confused. I think even really well-educated women and men are very confused on what to eat. And so, being in this space, I've been an FDN for almost 10 years. I've been working with women, and I've gone through like the gamut of all the diet fads. At this point, I've realized that, counting macros seriously is a pain in the ass. Like nobody wants to do it. We're over it. We're midlife women. Like, okay, we did it, all done. We don't really want to count calories anymore. And it doesn't really work. And so what I teach my clients is the protein leverage hypothesis, the micronutrient leverage hypothesis. And really, this makes a lot of sense for women. Both of those theories say essentially, you are wired to seek out food until you meet a set number of protein grams per day and an optimal level of micronutrients a day. So, really, food is medicine, but not necessarily in the way we think. It's not from like a protein, fat, carbohydrate sort of perspective. Looking at it at more of a granular level, like, am I getting my potassium? We know from the research that potassium, calcium, iron, and sodium are necessary to get in proper amounts in order to shut off cravings for women. So I teach them use something like Chronometer or MyFitnessPal, and you can self-track for a little bit. It's way more fun than tracking your macros to track things like potassium because it's almost like a game. And once you get those things dialed in, you realize that's where the medicine is. That's when you start to feel better. Potassium and sodium for stress relief, iron for energy. Then obviously protein too. Women need to get, and men need to get a sufficient amount of protein every single day, or they're just going to be craving sugar and processed foods and carbohydrates. And so that's really the way I like to approach nutrition from the 10,000-foot view.
That's incredible. Yeah. And it's amazing how much it's not just when it comes to depression or mental health or so many other things in our body. Once you get the appropriate nutrition, like that's the first place we should look before we prescribe medication. And it's real. Um, mental health is something that is important. But it's like, let's just look at your food. Are you getting enough nutrition? And once you address that, then let's look at other approaches that we can take. So thank you for shedding light. Another thing I learned the hard way is not all calories are made the same, right? It's interesting when I was on my weight loss journey, if I got enough protein in, didn't matter. If I got enough protein in, my body could let go of the weight, right? But if I didn't, it would just hold on, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not losing weight. What's happening?
Right.
Yeah. Can you talk
Yeah,
about
for
that a
sure.
little bit? Why your body
Yeah.
does that?
Why your body holds on to weight if you're not getting enough protein?
That's correct.
Yeah. So there's a couple different mechanisms of action going on here. I tell my women, your body has to feel safe enough in order to lose weight. If we're stuck in fight or flight mode, and really what that means is if we're malnourished, and that looks different for a lot of women, like you're not getting enough protein, you're not getting enough micronutrients, you're over exercising, you're overstressed, you're skimping on sleep, your body doesn't feel safe. And a lot of women, to kind of counteract some of the results of not sleeping enough, not eating enough, over exercising, they just start to eat less food. I know I did that. The average American woman eats 68 grams of protein a day. And we know, I mean, especially those of us on weight loss journeys, especially those of us in this industry, we know like the standard really should be at least 100 grams of protein a day or more, especially if you're trying to lose weight. Protein only has 4 calories per gram. It takes a lot of energy to burn that protein in the body, and everything in our body is made out of protein, right? Our hair, our skin, our nails, our stomach lining, our muscles, they're all made of protein. And so, if we're in a stress state and our body's using stress hormones like cortisol to break down that muscle, that hair, that skin, that nails, we're gonna feel poorly. Our body's not gonna feel safe. But if we can get enough protein to keep those normal functions of the body going well and to feel satisfied, protein is the most satisfying nutrient, then it becomes a lot easier to lose weight. And I'll go back very quickly just to that protein leverage hypothesis, right? The protein leverage hypothesis does say that you are going to continue to crave food, just any food, it doesn't matter, like Oreos, chips and salsa, wine, until you meet the set number of protein grams that your particular body needs for that day. And honey, like you can't eat another bite of steak when you're done with steak, right? Or you can definitely eat another bite of sourdough bread and butter if it's out there and you're like, I'm full, but oh dang, that looks good.
So what do you do? I mean, we have so many people either microdosing or on GLP-1 medications right now, GLP, GIP medications. How do you get adequate protein in when you're just not, you're satiated, you're not craving it, you're full. So what do you do? Do you have any hacks for our community?
I do. Okay, so I'm not affiliated with them, but I do love the Whole Feast protein powder. The butter vanilla flavor is amazing. 21 grams of protein. You can just put that in a shaker bottle with some plant milk, and that's a good serving of protein. For those of us on GLP-1s, I do recommend mini meals. If you could try to get 20 grams of protein, 4 times a day, that's a great place to start. You can start with somebody just said it too. Amino acid supplements are really really helpful. If you can get elemental amino acid supplements, that's great. Metagenics is a really good brand. Pure Encapsulations is a really good brand. There's probably tons on Amazon, but amino acids are protein. It's just in their elemental form. I prefer whole food. You're just going to feel better long term. So protein powders are completely fine. But if you can, meal prep ahead of time too, then you can get your protein in when you're actually hungry. 20 grams of protein is probably the least amount that you would want to get with a full meal, and about 10 grams of protein for a snack.
Mm, that's good information. Well, thank you. So let's shift gears and talk a little about menopause, perimenopause. For women navigating perimenopause and menopause, their bodies are essentially rewriting the hormonal playbook. How can strategic nutrition become their most powerful ally during this transition?
Okay, that's great. Yes, your hormones are being rewritten. In perimenopause, your estrogen levels are starting to fluctuate wildly. 1 month they can be really high, 1 month they can be really low, and your progesterone levels are on this like steady decline, right? You stop ovulating, your body stops producing progesterone. What I see when I test my women with the Dutch test too, routinely in perimenopause and menopause, testosterone levels are really, really low. So you want to eat for hormone health. If you're on a GLP-1, it becomes a little harder to eat a lot of fat, right? However, fat is the backbone of all of our steroid hormones. It's a cholesterol backbone. So estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and cortisol all need sufficient fat, cholesterol, in order to like synthesize those hormones in the body. So I recommend just a reasonable amount of fat for, women and men. Somewhere between 60, maybe 80 grams of fat a day should be sufficient to rebuild some of your steroid hormones. You can also use fun foods to do that too. So I have a recipe that I call my cramp-free energy bites. And this is for women who are having like the weird cycles of perimenopause. Sometimes they're spotting, sometimes they skip a cycle, sometimes their cycles are super heavy. So you guys can just like Google Jennifer Woodward Nutrition cramp-free energy bites, or you can find me on Instagram and grab the recipe there. But they are seriously, you guys, they are so good. They are a planned treat. They have like chocolate chips, they have honey. You just make, little servings of them. But the chia seeds and the flax seeds in those cramp-free energy bites act as a phytoestrogen. So they really help regulate some of the symptoms that can be associated with perimenopause, like those heavier cycles or spotty cycles. So that's one thing you can do for estrogen. For progesterone, we want foods that are higher in B6. And so those would be like nuts and seeds, good whole grain bread, seafood. The other thing a lot of my clients will do is seed cycle. So you guys can also find a seed cycling guide. Jennifer Woodward Nutrition, just type seed cycling guide into Google. That would be during your follicular phase, the first 14 days of your cycle. You would eat things like flax seeds and pumpkin seeds. Those are going to be better for your estrogen production levels. And yes, basil seeds are similar to chia seeds, Tiffany. That's a good question. They have higher fiber though. They also taste a little bit worse, I think, but some people like them. And then in your luteal phase, right, this would be day 14 through 28 of a normal 28-day cycle. This is post ovulation. You would have sesame seeds and sunflower seeds because those are higher in that B6. So that's going to support your body's own progesterone levels. Those are really good ways for perimenopausal and even menopausal women. And I'll caveat, even for like our teenage daughters, to get some of their cycles back on track naturally and with food.
Do you have a guide for this again? A one
I have a
pager,
seed
a
cycling guide.
cheat sheet that we
Yes,
could we could
I'll
get?
share it with you. I'll send it
This
over.
is incredible. I would love that. I would love
Yeah.
this information. And I come from the generation where everything was diet and fat free, and fat just had such a bad reputation. And now we're hearing, no, fats are good. They're healthy. We need them. Our body needs them. So, what are some examples of healthy fats versus not so healthy fats?
Yeah, anything that's a whole food fat is a reasonable fat. It's funny, I was just recording my podcast earlier today and my husband was the guest and he's like, "I remember that time when you thought coconut oil was like the best thing ever and you made us eat coconut oil 3 times a day and everything tasted like coconut. That was the worst." So,
I had that
so
phase.
yeah. It really, if a food is like a natural whole food, let's just say like a filet mignon or, ground turkey or, a little bit of butter, right? Like whole foods have fat in them naturally. I wouldn't necessarily go in and add a bunch of extra fat, especially if you're a midlife woman or man, and especially if you're on a GLP-1, because we know that changes our taste for food, and we can't handle fat the same way that we probably used to. It kind of, it doesn't taste as good. It's not as delicious anymore. And so just getting your fat, like I said, somewhere between 60 and 80 grams of fat per day. Also have meal plans I'm happy to share with you guys too that automatically does this for you. And you can track it for free, like Chronometer or MyFitnessPal. Somewhere between that amount of fat a day is generally sufficient for women to, again, like have a natural mood balance, achieve natural hormone balance. It's just when you get too high, like the ketogenic diet, which is very devoid of nutrients, or too low, which is really bad for women's mental health, that things can start to get a little bit wonky in perimenopause and menopause.
So interesting. I mean, nowadays, especially on social media, there's the carnivore diet and then this diet, and there's, like at the end of the day, what advice would you give? Is it just listen to your body and see what makes sense, what makes you feel good and energized, or how do you navigate all this information?
It is so hard. I agree. What I do in my practice with my women is I bring them back to the basics. So I take a very ancestral stance to nutrition. If God made it, if it's out in nature, it's a food that we should eat. If not, it's probably not going to be the best for you. Have I done the vegan diet and one meal a day and 3 months on the carnivore diet? Absolutely, I have, just because I like to do that sort of thing. And at some point, I thought it would help me. But those are all really too extreme for women who are raising kids and working hard and helping aging parents and caught in, the trap of midlife. We want balance for the body. So in my practice, I have women eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. I have them eat a piece of fruit with every single meal to balance out their blood sugar and calm down their sugar cravings and regulate their digestion. I keep their fat natural and minimal, protein high, somewhere between 20 and 40 grams of protein per meal. And then we round out the other foods. Like if you want a little bit of bread or pasta or rice, like it's not going to kill you, right? You just have to find balance with those whole foods. It's easier said than done. And I think peptides are a great boon for women who have been just yanked all over the place by all these diet trends. When I lost my 15 pounds on my GLP-1 microdose of tirzepatide, I was eating just a regular diet. My husband told me, he's like, this is the most balanced you've ever been. I was like, I know, I'm just eating regular food. It's fantastic. I love peptides. I'm doing what I've always done. It's just working now. Right. So I would tell women, don't be swayed by all the things. They're all going to work for a time. But can you see yourself doing the same thing you're doing today a year from now and being happy? What you're doing, would you tell your 15-year-old daughter to do? Just think about it in terms of what's realistic for your lifestyle, kind of what makes sense. And then, like I said, I do take more of the ancestral approach, like higher animal protein, moderate plants, good healthy fats, lots of water, mineral dense diet. And that tends to make my women come back into balance very, very quickly in my programs.
Interesting. That's really good to know. And this is just for myself and as I'm looking at the evolution of our company and the future of what healthcare looks like and incorporating diagnostics, blood work, hormone therapy, and so many other things that I want to bring, analytics from your wearables, et cetera. Do you take a more analytical scientific approach to this where you look at blood work, you look at food sensitivity tests, or do you just ask her, how do you feel? Like, how do you approach this in your
Yes.
practice?
Oh, so fun. I will always tell a woman, I believe your gut. So if you tell me something's going on with you, because so many women have been dismissed by their doctors, if they tell me there's a symptom happening or an issue they're having, I believe them. Like their gut tells me what's going on. But, as a trained functional diagnostic nutritionist, this is what we do. We run functional lab work. I've got lab tests coming in every single day for my clients. I always tell them, it's like Christmas, your lab's in. It's my favorite. So, yeah, we're running functional blood chemistry analysis, the Dutch test or salivary hormone panel, a GI map, a food sensitivity test, hair tissue mineral analysis, some genetic testing. The labs are really the lifeblood of my practice because women are able to see in black and white what's actually going on with their body. And I'm not a doctor. I don't diagnose, treat, or prescribe, but I share with them, these are some of the signs and symptoms of possible future dysfunction in your body. They're not truly diagnostic. Like I don't tell them, oh, you have PCOS or whatever. I can't do that. But I can say, here's some early signs of dysfunction that we can go in now and course correct, like balance your blood sugar, optimize your thyroid, work on your stress management or your mood or your brain health. I find that the lab tests are an incredibly beneficial tool, especially for women who've been dismissed by their doctors for so long.
Oh, I agree. And do you make them take another lab test in 6 months, 3 months? What is your follow-up protocol?
You got the good questions, honey.
I
So
know. This is for me.
I, yes,
Sorry, everyone.
I know. I mean, we know that functional lab testing is not covered by insurance at this time. Therefore, it's pretty darn expensive. So every single new woman asks me that comes into my program, like, do we retest? And I tell them, if you want to spend, $500, $1,000 retesting, I'm totally happy to facilitate that for you. But if after you put these principles into practice, your mood is better, your sleep is better, you're down 20 pounds, your skin is glowing, you just have a new zest for life, you can save your $1,000, right? Just because you're definitely getting better. So two approaches to that. If they're really wanting to corroborate on the labs, like the labs are going to show they're feeling better. It's just going to tell us what we already know. But it's not always necessary.
All right. Well, that's good to know. Thank you. Thank you for my, I appreciate this is the
Sure.
space I'm living in right now. So I
Yeah.
appreciate the answers. So let's talk about peptides. Peptides are having their moment in longevity circles, and in our company, we offer several peptides. But how does the quality of your nutrition actually determine whether these peptides can do their work and do their job and do what they're supposed to do effectively?
I was just talking with a couple of my brand partners about this today because as functional nutritionists, we really want to make sure that our clients have their foundations down. So for us as FDNs, we're trained on the DRESS protocol: diet, rest, exercise, stress management, and supplements, really based on lab work. And a lot of questions I get on social media would be like, am I going to lose a bunch of muscle on a GLP-1? Do I have to stay on this forever? Am I going to have Ozempic face where like my skin's melting off? And what I tell everyone is, gosh, if you have those foundations dialed in, peptides just make the work. Right? A lot of us are already we're getting our protein. Like a lot of this isn't new for many of you women. Like you're getting your protein, you're lifting weights, you're getting outside in the sun, you're, optimizing your minerals and getting your steps in. But for 10 years, that wasn't doing anything. It wasn't moving the needle on the scale or with your body composition. So once we add in the peptides to a body that's relatively optimized already, that isn't what, some bros call like a dumpster fire, right? Where you're just like surviving off of coffee and wine and like Starbucks frappuccinos and fast food. And then you go on Ozempic and you lose like 50 pounds, but you're not healthier. You're just eating fewer frappuccinos, right? Or drinking fewer frappuccinos. But if you have all those pieces dialed in of like proper health, just everything that we've been talking about today, then oh my gosh, that peptide part becomes so much fun. They go to work on your body like gangbusters. I've seen it time and time and time and time again. And every time, these women and men too, especially, are really kind of blown away, knowing like now, I can tell my muscle mass is better, my sleep is better, my body composition is definitely better, and I'm not really changing a ton from what I've already done. I'm already living this healthy lifestyle.
Jennifer, besides GLP-1s, are there any peptides that you absolutely love and you recommend? Because I'm testing out a bunch of different ones, but what are your favorites?
I have, it's like my children. I have four children. So I'll be real honest, one of them's always my favorite at any given time, but I'd never say that to them. Peptide, same thing with peptides. And yes, love my microdose of GLP-1, but I'm also obsessed with NAD plus. My husband and I have been taking that now for months. And, he's got a high power job. Like I'm with women all day long. Like my brain power needs to be on. We can both definitely tell a difference, notably with how many fewer words we're searching for, as we're talking to each other. Like Go put that in that thing with the door, that food goes in. Oh, the refrigerator. Like our brains are working better, our bodies are working better. We've noticed that instead of getting a slump like around 6, 7 p.m., we go all the way to 10 o'clock without feeling exhausted, running our kids around, doing life. So we're both very big fans of NAD plus. We've been on BPC 157. I've been on BPC 157 for the past 3 years. I took a peptide course 3 years ago and was introduced to it and thought, this is amazing for inflammation, for healing. I've had my children on it after surgeries and broken bones. My husband's been on it after knee surgery. And so now being able to get it as the Wolverine stack with TB 500 from Ellie, we are both kind of obsessed. And a lot of my husband's friends are like, what is that? What's a Wolverine stack? I want that. Like, yes, you have to get it. It's amazing. Then I'm on Summer Ellen, and Bo and I, my husband, his name's Bo, sorry, we're trialing out, we're going between Summer Ellen and then Ipamorelin and Tesamorelin. Also, as a women's health practitioner in perimenopause, I've been playing around with PT 141, the arousal peptide, and that's been real fun, let me tell you. Not in the way I would have thought, and it's very interesting, but I'm definitely going to be recommending that for some of my women who have persistently low libido. So I don't know if that ends. I love all of them. Those are all of the ones that I'm on. And I am really kind of obsessed with my peptide stack.
Yeah, no, that's great. Those are the good ones. Those, I feel like they're part of the essential stack.
Right.
I've been doing GHK, BPC lately, and I feel it in my skin. And I coupled that with our topical version, our Elevate Skin. But it's the peeling. Like I'm going on a beach next week, so I can't do that. Let me do the injections instead. And the Tessa IPA, I feel the difference, especially in the midsection. And it's like I'm not losing weight, but I feel the inches coming off. It's pretty remarkable. So that's a good one.
Very cool.
Stacks, yeah, and BPC, of course, I add that in. Um, so let's talk about daily habits. A lot of people know what to eat, but struggle with consistency.
Yeah.
What's your secret sauce for helping clients transition from knowing to actually living these practicing daily?
Yes, I know. I know what you're saying, and it's a great question. I mean,
Which will
our
do.
head knowledge doesn't always equate to things that we can do on the daily. So I always tell my clients, you have to start slow, right? They have 16 weeks with me in their program. I only have 4 months with them to teach them long-term strategies. So they do that even after they graduate. And we've got to lock in things like protein, potassium, sodium, sunshine, 10,000 steps a day, circadian rhythm, breath work, Epsom salt baths, meal timing, and planned treats. That was just my daily 10. Those are what I have every single client in my practice do. It's called the daily 10, which I'm happy to share that document with you guys later too, so you can come back and look at it. But that's a lot. It's like 10 things. And so I tell them, give yourself grace. So many of us women have got to this point where we're overweight, our hormones are imbalanced because we have not given ourselves or others grace for a really long time. So pick one of those habits and get it cemented in for a week or so and then move on to the next habit. And in my private practice, we always go around and we talk about daily nutritional commitments. They're DNCs. So DNCs are things that you are already doing that are healthy, that are second nature for you. Like, honey, what's one thing that you do? You don't even have to think about that you know is healthy every day.
Just go for a walk and get some sunshine. Get out of the house.
I love it. Yeah, like it's not, you don't have to put it on your calendar. It's not a big stressor for you. So at the end of the day, you could be like, honey, girl, you went for your walk. You got outside and got your sunshine. Like, good job. You did a good job today. Maybe you only got 60 grams of protein. Big deal. You still got outside and did your walk. So to celebrate those little things. And Vanessa, DNC is daily nutritional commitments. Just these little things that you are committed to do every single day for yourself to make strides toward a healthier future you. And I always tell my clients too, there's a big difference between self-discipline, which is always going to fail you eventually, and commitment, right? So these daily nutritional commitments are things that we are just committed to do every day, and we're not disciplining the heck out of ourselves to try to do. So just start really small. And once you've mastered one thing, move on to the next, but don't forget to celebrate the little things that you've already done that are fantastically healthy for you.
You know, It's not part of my questions, but I just want to talk about it because we're women and we care about how we look and feel. And can you talk a little bit about the relationship between nutrition and how we look, our hair, how our skin glows? I mean, I see questions about GHKCU and hair loss and for your skincare. Can you touch on that a little bit?
I absolutely can. It's one of my favorite things. So, as women start fueling their body well and their body moves from a state of fight or flight mode to rest and digest mode where it feels safe, your body starts working better. It cannot divert its resources to beautiful things like healthy hair, skin, and nails when it is stuck in fight or flight mode. Now, this is Dr. Bruce Ames' nutrient triage theory. The nutrient triage theory says that we are going to use all of our body's resources to do like functions that we have to have done in the body, like keep our heart beating and keep our lungs breathing. That's where a lot of our nutrients, macro and micro, are going to go to every single day. If we don't have enough of the other good things in our diet, like plenty of fruits and vegetables, good lean protein, nuts and seeds, if we're getting those in our diet, then we're going to have an abundance of minerals to go toward some of the secondary and tertiary things like beautiful glowing hair and amazingly clear skin and nails that are strong and resilient. And so there is that huge correlation between making sure that you are truly nourished enough. Like that's a huge word in my practice. I always talk to my girls about being nourished, mind, body, spirit, soul, nourished. And that's not, grabbing egg white bites from Starbucks because you only have 3 minutes. That's like maybe trying to meal prep one time a month. And maybe you just get egg white bites every other day instead of every day, right? But really trying to dial in that nourishment piece with choosing foods that are ancestral and hopefully more local, sometimes organic if you can afford it, not always necessary, but you're always rebuilding your body with the foods that you are eating. So copper, huge one. Actually, I wrote my master's thesis on copper. It's my favorite micronutrient. I think it's so fascinating because it's so good for our hair, our skin, and nails, but it's also antiviral. It's antifungal. It's antibacterial. It is this beautifully complex mineral, but it also has to be in balance with like iron and zinc and all those other minerals in the body. But because it's so powerfully anti-inflammatory and can kill off fungus, viruses and bacteria, we see a great benefit for the skin when we start using more copper, either topically or internally. So that's one of my favorite ones for, yeah, like healthy hair, skin, and nails.
GHKCU, that's a good one. I I love that one. Yesterday we had Tom Nicola hosting our men's circle, and he talked a lot about cortisol and its effects on testosterone and hormones and men's health. Let's touch on that a little bit about our daily habits, hydration, sleep, especially, and how they affect our hormones, our mood, and everything else that we do. Can you touch on that, please?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, you just kind of want to be balanced in those things. Like we know we need sleep. None of us function well on 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night. So setting yourself up for success, this is why part of like, my daily 10 in my practice is circadian rhythm timing and getting outside. I always tell my girls, a great night's sleep starts first thing in the morning. So one of the things I love my clients to do is before you hop on your phone, just get outside for 5 minutes. Even if it's overcast, even if it's cold outside, just sit out on your patio for 5 minutes and let your brain register the fact that the sun's up or theoretically is up, even if it's under cloud cover. That's probably my top hormone hack is regulating your circadian rhythm. The easiest way to do that is getting outside just 3 times a day, 2 to 5 minutes at a time. First thing in the morning, right around noon, right at twilight. Okay, that is probably what I have seen. I've run, gosh, I don't know, like 700 Dutch tests, the hormone tests in my practice. And I see a very consistent pattern in a lot of my midlife women where their circadian rhythm is very much off. Like they have low waking cortisol, really high cortisol in the middle of the day, sometimes high cortisol at night. That's going to prevent them from getting to sleep. It's going to keep them, stuck with high blood sugar and belly fat. It's going to make them feel like they're anxious all the time. And so, dialing in circadian rhythm is the best thing I have found to then go in and regulate the rest of your hormone cascade, including cortisol, leptin, which is our fullness hormone, and then insulin, our fat storage hormone.
So, for women who are struggling to sleep at night or sleep well, a lot of women struggle to stay asleep throughout the night. What's something that they can do? Because that obviously affects their cortisol levels and their circadian rhythm, and it seems like it just fully affects their body. So what can they do?
It is the worst. Okay, best thing to do is eat a snack before bed. I know that's like counterintuitive. They tell you don't eat, but listen, you can't sleep because your cortisol levels are elevated. The research shows us that simply eating lowers cortisol levels. And so many of us have been dieting for so long. We're like, I can't eat before bed. I'll gain weight. No, you'll gain weight if you don't sleep well. And so we're using that snack as a therapeutic device to help you sleep better at night. So something small like a salted rice cake with a little bit of nut butter, or, an turkey meat and apple roll up, or half a banana and like a tablespoon of nut butter. That's sufficient enough to kind of lower your cortisol, balance out your blood sugar so you can get to sleep. The other thing that I have my clients do a lot of is the adrenal cocktail. You guys can Google that too. It's 4 ounces of orange juice. I'll repeat this twice: 4 ounces of orange juice, 4 ounces of coconut water, 1/2 teaspoon of cream of tartar for potassium, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. You just mix it all together and you slowly sip it before bedtime. Save a couple sips, and when you wake up in the middle of the night, get up, go pee, come back to bed. Use this little tiny like Amazon journal. I keep these all over the place, and do what I call a brain dump, where you're like, okay, I didn't call my mother-in-law back. I need to make sure I sign that permission form. I forgot bananas at the grocery store, and it's going to keep me up until 4 in the morning if I don't put it down. So I write all those things down so my brain can forget about it. Sip on the last couple sips of your adrenal cocktail, and you should go back to sleep. I'm going to repeat the recipe: 4 ounces of orange juice, 4 ounces of coconut water, 1/2 teaspoon of cream of tartar, 1/2 teaspoon of sodium. And that should really help you guys get back to sleep. There's other things too, like Lisa mentioned magnesium. Yes, love magnesium. Things like, CBD oil, Epsom salt bath, getting off your device for an hour or two before bed. Like all that sleep hygiene is really helpful. But I have a lot of ladies who do all that stuff and still can't sleep. And so adding in the snack and the adrenal cocktail has been really, really helpful for my girls. Also, getting their circadian rhythm dialed in. If they're getting outside 3 times a day, doing the adrenal cocktail and the snack, their sleep starts to become much, much better.
Okay, well, Brenda, if you can please post the adrenal cocktail in the notes or in the chat, that would be fantastic. But let's talk about how stress and poor lifestyle habits disrupt the healing process of the body.
Yeah, yeah. So I like the teaching of Ari Whitten on this, of the energy blueprint. He says our body can either be in energy creation mode, or it can be in cell defense mode, right? So many of us are living in cell defense mode. Give me like raise your hand, like give me a thumbs up on your little screen if that's you. If you're like, okay, clearly I don't have a ton of energy. I'm sort of living in cell defense mode. I'm having all these symptoms. I can't sleep. My energy's down. I have food sensitivities. All those symptoms that we're experiencing can be because our body is stuck in that cell defense mode. So it's really, really hard to heal when your body's in cell defense mode, because all of your energy is going toward protecting the body. We want to get that body safe enough and resilient enough to move into energy creation mode. So now it can start healing and sleeping and growing and feeling much, much safer. And the way we do that is really like, it's not difficult. It's simple, but maybe not easy, right? Like all the things that we were talking about today: getting enough protein, like getting your circadian rhythm dialed in, maybe stopping CrossFit or Orange Theory and just going outside for a walk, taking an Epsom salt bath instead of having a glass of wine. Like there are really kind of simple shifts that you can use to get out of cell defense mode and into energy creation mode. And that's where your hormones start to heal, even if you're in perimenopause or menopause.
I love that. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but my biggest issue is waking up really, really anxious. I don't know. Maybe I haven't tested this one, but maybe I have very high cortisol levels early in the morning. One thing that helps me is right away, I do 10 things I'm grateful for, and it just calms my body. Like everything's okay. Put a 10 things you're grateful for. Three people or things that bother me, I send it love. And then I just sit quietly for about 5 minutes and think about my day. Like, how would I want my day to go? Okay, let's not worry about all the things that could go wrong. Let's focus on how the day would, what would my ideal day look like? So that's been really, really helpful lately because if you work with me, you get those text messages at 5 in the morning. Did you guys do this? Did we do this? Are we set up? So now I'm like, no, let's take a moment and just give some love and gratitude. Everything's okay. All right, let's start our day. And then putting my phone away for the first hour has been so helpful. I have to like leave my phone downstairs at nighttime so I don't reach for it early in the morning. But I don't know, the things you have to do to figure yourself out.
I know. It's so good though. Like what you're doing is getting your body out of fight or flight mode into rest and digest mode, getting yourself out of sympathetic into parasympathetic mode. So your body's kind of like primed and set for a chill day instead of a freaking out day. Yeah, Vanessa, her body's safe. So that's kind of what, I recommend that most women do something like that, a morning routine, a nighttime routine, kind of getting off your phone. Honey, we'll have to run your Dutch test and see about your cortisol levels, how high they are. But just for that too, like the adrenal cocktail, it's called the adrenal cocktail, right? And cortisol is made by your adrenal glands. And so if other women wake up like that, please put Honey's morning routine into place because I love it. But while you're doing it, instead of sipping on coffee, especially on an empty stomach, sip your adrenal cocktail and notice how much calmer your body is going to be, not only in the morning, but throughout the entire day.
Oh gosh, I love it. I'm going to try this today. I'm going to get on this adrenal cocktail right away. And another thing I did, Jennifer, is I traded my cell phone because my excuse for having my cell phone next to my bed was for my morning alarm, right? But then it goes beyond that. You browse and you look at things. And so now I got myself a Hatch. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but it has meditation
Yes.
on it and it has the music, the calming music. And I do ocean sounds. That's been a game changer. I leave my phone downstairs, play my Hatch. It wakes me up in the morning with some light. I don't know. It's what's working for now. Let's see.
It's beautiful. I love that. We have my daughter, she's 18, so she's on TikTok all the time. She's like, Mom, this is one of the things I want for Christmas. And it's the like brightening, the light brightening alarm clock. Same thing. It has nature sounds on it. And instead of waking up to like a blaring alarm or even just like a relatively, soft iPhone song, it's this lovely light that it's like you're waking up in a forest. So I'm all about that, honey. I love it.
I know. I see Asia Road. I love my Hatch. I think you're the one that told me about Asia. I had a group of ladies who say they travel with their Hatch. I was like, I got to figure out what this is. And I have gotten it, love it. It's great. It's great, great. Before we dive into peptides, can we talk through the daily 10 you use with your clients and why it's so effective?
Yes, yes. So I kind of briefly mentioned them before. So I'll just give an overview. And again, I'm going to share this with you guys. So you can, share it with anybody you want, just because these are the 10 things after 10 years as a functional practitioner for women that I found work the best in combination together to make women feel happy and hormonally balanced. So we start with 100 grams of protein a day. That's number one. It regulates satiety, craving, sleep, and stress. Number two, we do potassium. It's an anti-stress mineral and it also helps regulate your thyroid function and shuts down cravings. I'm actually drinking my potassium water right now. I really don't drink water anymore without potassium, which is hilarious. Number three is sodium. Your adrenal glands need plenty of sodium in order to function happily, and that's part of the adrenal cocktail. Number four is sunshine. Fatigue and insomnia respond really quickly to sunshine as your internal battery recharges because we are electrical beings. The sun recharges us, not coffee at 2 p.m. Sun. And then number five is 10,000 steps a day ish, if you can, 8 to 10,000 steps a day. It really is a magic formula for a great night's sleep, a balanced mood, and really excellent body composition, especially in midlife. There's tons of research, tons of published literature on walking for body composition and hormone health. Number six is circadian rhythm. Remember, we're ancestral creatures, right? In a modern world, we've only had all these like brand new devices around us for like a couple hundred years, right? When we've been here for so much longer than that. So it still is hard for our brains to comprehend all of these things that are around us. We're ancestral beings. Things like light bulbs, TV, phones, like honey, you were saying, they all kind of throw you off. And so taking a little break from them can be really, really good. I think we're on six, seven is breath work. So many of us are shallow mouth breathers, and it increases stress hormones, and it really can keep us triggered and panicky. And so there's a great YouTube video. You can just look up YouTube 1 minute box breathing, and it's box breathing is used by the Navy SEALs to calm down in really stressful situations. So if it could work for them, it could work for us. It's just breathing in for 3 seconds, holding for 3 seconds, breathing out for 3 seconds, holding for 3 seconds. You can do it like while you're sneaking away at the bathroom and your kids are like watching TV or something. And you can do it in the car pickup line. You can do it before bed. Really easy to do. Epsom salt baths are number eight. Magnesium deficiency can lead to constipation, insomnia, and high stress. And this is a great way for women, especially those with compromised guts, to get in their magnesium. And it's so much better than taking a pill. Oh my gosh, a bath is the best. Nine is meal timing. Your digestion's really raging between the hours of 6 a.m. and 2 p.m., and it kind of tapers off in the afternoon and evening. So I tell my girls, try to get your first meal within 30 minutes of waking up, if at all possible. And then the last one is planned treats. Because listen, all work and no play makes Jane dive face first into chips, ice cream, and wine. And so we really can fight that urge for sweet things by having a sweet thing every day. Like, don't deny yourself things that you like. In my practice, we do the cramp-free energy bites just because they have like honey and chocolate and peanut butter. But if your planned treat is like one piece of, milk chocolate or one glass of wine or something, and you look forward to that every day, and it kind of like helps you stay away from eating a whole bag of chips, gosh, do it because we only get one life. It should be somewhat fun.
I love that one. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Before we start talking about what makes peptides such an exciting tool in regenerative health, maybe you can define, because someone asked me this question. They're like, I keep hearing these terms. I hear biohacking and this. Can you define what functional health is and what is regenerative health and the difference between the two or the similarity?
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So functional health is moving the body from a state of dysfunction to a state of function. So think about like, an illness or especially a chronic illness, right? A hormone dysfunction, gut dysfunction. Like you've heard those terms before. So functional medicine will go in, like use functional lab tests and principles like we were just talking about with the daily 10 to remove some of those causes of dysfunction and restore proper gut function, proper hormone function to the body. So that's basically it in a nutshell. Whereas regenerative medicine is looking to like reverse aging, to increase like cell autophagy, to really almost like have us aging backwards. So this is the fun science of like peptides, where we aren't just moving back to function, we're almost like, I don't know, like supercharging our function.
So let's talk about what makes peptides so exciting when it comes to regenerative health. Now that you've defined it, thank you.
I mean, who doesn't want to be like regenerated, honestly? Just getting to have, better body composition, better hair, skin, and nails, like we were talking about, metabolism that functions appropriately and is more sensitive to insulin and more sensitive to glucose. These are all things that peptides can do for our body that, in a sense, will regenerate our body, right? I mean, I've had friends that are on peptides now for like 5 or 6 years, with functional medicine doctors at like very expensive clinics. You can tell these people look different. Their skin is better. Of course, their body comp is better. They just look and feel so much healthier. I've got a good friend, her name's Trish. And like, Trish, you literally look 5 years younger. And she does. And that's really the regenerate qualities of peptides. Because peptides, we know, they're proteins, they're amino acids. They're very similar to what our body would already make. But because, we live in this world and we're all kind of like degenerating, we aren't making yeah, that's so sad, but that's okay. We have peptides, no problem. We aren't making the appropriate levels of things like GLP-1 in our gut, BPC 157 in our gut. We're not making the amount that we would when we were younger, or really that a healthy body should. So replacing those peptides in the body can be very helpful for that kind of regeneration that happens to like a 12-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 20-year-old. And peptides are really mirroring that for a lot of midlife people, which is why I think they're so exciting.
I love that. And it's something your body recognizes. It knows what to do, how to
Yes.
use it. So it works with your body's natural systems and processes. That's what make peptides so exciting. Um, Can you talk to us a little about how you need to pair nutrition with peptides and lifestyle changes? I think just choosing one alone is not the answer. So, can you touch on all three and how they need to come together holistically?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely everything we've been talking about here today, but I think we can all think about celebrity. Everyone can name one that they've seen in like the tabloids or on their Apple News who you can tell went on like a high dose of GLP-1 and instantly became gaunt and has their skin falling off. And you're like, ooh, that just doesn't look healthy. Like, yes, you lost the weight, but gosh, it doesn't look healthy. And like I said, there's a lot of like, the early adopters of peptides were more like the gym bros and these biohacker guys, and they have this term dumpster fire, which is, like I'm just using it because they use it, but it's essentially a person who maybe isn't already living a healthy lifestyle, like maybe is relying too much on fast food, maybe doesn't exercise as much as they should, maybe doesn't, see the sun as often as they should, and just really isn't living that healthy lifestyle. Those people are just going to have a harder time with peptides. They're not going to work as effectively in a body that isn't working toward health optimization. But if we add in, my goodness, the nutrition, it doesn't have to be perfect nutrition. Gosh, get your protein and eat some fruit and vegetables and then just have fun with the rest of it, like get a properly nourishing, balanced diet and then, enjoy life. And if you're adding in, the exercise piece, not too much, not too little. I call it Goldilocks exercise in midlife, right? We should be lifting weights and walking, but really not doing like a ton of cardio or anything anymore, just because it's hard on our body. But all of those things together, that I even have a reel where I did this. Like I have a little ice cream dish right here. This is all of the nutrition and exercise and supplements. And then peptides are literally just the cherry on top. They make the work work. But if the work isn't there, you're not going to see the results that you really want. So it's really good for us, to be working on just adding a little bit more protein, maybe getting some steps in, optimizing our circadian rhythm. Then you're going to be really impressed by what peptides can do. I'll just make a really quick note. The research is showing us, I just read this fantastic study that showed that women in midlife who are on both hormone replacement therapy, so like estrogen, progesterone replacement therapy, and peptides like GLP-1s have better results with regards to weight loss than women who are on either one independently in midlife, which is very impressive. So it's just another piece of the puzzle to kind of dial in, right? It's going to work better if you're optimized.
That's right. It sounds like you have to do it all. You have to optimize your nutrition. You have to incorporate the peptides, changes, hydration. It's not just one thing. There's no quick fix. And I see a message that came in. I just wanted to address this. It says, I just started tirzepatide this week. No big changes. You have to hang in there. Okay. I mean, it takes a couple weeks to months. First of all, the first month is just your initial starting titration dose. So your body's getting adjusted to these medications. That's the minimal. And then you slowly titrate up until you find your sweet spot and you stay there until, for as long as possible. So that's a recommendation I would provide. But I guess to that, there's no quick fix, right? You have to do
No.
these things long term and you have to make the lifestyle changes. As we wrap up, do you have any final words, any advice? And I would love for you to tell our community where they can find you and if there's some services that you offer that someone can benefit from, how and where they can find you to receive these services.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you guys for hopping on with me today. Thank you, Honey and Brenda, for having me. And at the end of the day, you guys, remember, we do get one life. So you might as well make it fun. Don't make all this stuff drudgery. It's not like things you have to do, it's things you get to do. And then maybe add in peptides so you can feel better and look better and play with your kids and your grandkids and maybe try pickleball or something new in life. It just gives you a zeal, a new appreciation for life. And that's what I want for you guys and for my clients. Like it shouldn't be difficult. Just go ahead and start with any new habit we talked about today that you feel like you could do and master, and then move on to the next one. The health game should be fun. I think a lot of people make it like drudgery and scary, but it definitely doesn't have to be. And yeah, I know that there's a ton of questions. We don't really have time to get to them. I'm on Instagram at Jennifer Woodward Nutrition. So it's just at sign Jennifer Woodward, WOODWARD Nutrition, one word. I'm really active on Instagram. I do love talking about my peptides and hormones and all of that fun stuff. So you guys can message me there. You can, ask me anything on my DMs. I'm happy to get a hold of you. You can email me to my website. It's just Jennifer Woodward Nutrition. I know some of you will have questions. And then just to tell you guys, like I would be happy to share the cramp-free energy bites, the adrenal cocktail, and the daily 10 with Honey and Brenda. And then if you guys want to share them, if anybody actually wants them, they can have them.
Absolutely. We'll put it in the show notes and we'll share that. And Brenda will share the replay of this video. So if you missed the beginning, I saw a couple comments come in. If you missed the beginning, we'll be sure to post that very shortly. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you so much for coming in and educating our community. And thank you, every single one of you who tuned in tonight and you're trying to learn those little hacks and tricks and tips on how to have the best life ever. So thank you, all of you. This community is incredible, and this is how we make those changes, right? We tune in, we learn, and then we share what we can. So, thank you all so, so much. Thank you again, Jennifer.
Thank you, honey. Bye, everybody.
All right, have a great night, everyone. Thank you. Mwah. Good night.